Get free gift cards, PayPal, and much more with feature points.
What's up guys, Commander Alex here, and today we're going to be talking about something that I think really needs to be talked about with Samuel, because people, I mean, I'm sure some people out there get it, but a lot of people don't get it, and I want to kind of just clear up this misconception about how Samuel's B works, or well, how his B and A work together, and then also how his A kind of fires. So you can think of this as like an informational video on the mechanics of his abilities, or just like I'm really tired of people saying that they know how he works when they don't. Whatever it is, I'm going to show you guys exactly how they work, and I'm going to explain how they work, because there's actually some really interesting mechanics and like geometry that goes into Samuel that, you know, when you really understand, you're going to be a lot more effective with them. And then, you know, if you guys know this before he even comes out, then you're probably going to do a lot better in your first game than you would otherwise. So yeah, let's just hop into things here. We can get out of here. Oh, look at the little dragonflies. All right, so first things first, let's just show his A when I'm not moving, right? We tap somewhere, and it fires to that location. Now it's important to note that it fires to the location that you tap. Does that make sense? It fires the distance that it is, like the range that it has, but it fires, basically if you had a point on Samuel and a point where you tapped, it draws a line between those, and then on that line it goes the distance of the range of the ability. So even if you tap super close next to him, it's going to travel the full distance, but it's still going to travel in that same direction, and if you move, it's going to change direction. So first off, let's talk about, you know, if I tap really close, and you guys can't really see where I'm tapping, which, you know, is obviously an issue, but actually, you know how we can do this? We can say that I'm tapping on this rock, okay? So I'm aiming at that rock over there, right? I target this ability, I choose that, and it fires in that direction. But if I move, it's then going to fire in the other direction. Look at that, you see? Because I was pivoting around that rock. And for you guys, because you can't see, I tapped on this rock right where I'm standing right now, and it went in the right direction, but then as I moved down, the geometry changed and it shot upwards. I know this is really hard to picture, but basically picture it like a line with three different points, right? You have the one point where you tap, and then Samuel's the other point, and as you move Samuel around, the direction between those two lines changes, so the third point changes too, if that makes sense. Maybe I can put an infographic on stream so that you guys can see it, but basically, you have to understand where you're tapping and then move around that point, and if you tap farther away, you're going to change directions less. So if I'm here, if I'm standing like way back here, and I tap over there, see, it doesn't really change direction all that much. But if I'm standing like right here, changes direction a lot. So depending on how close you tap to Samuel, you can get a lot more change in direction over time. And if you're really good, you can actually tap close to Samuel, and then you can move over the point and it'll fire behind you. So say you have like, say this rock in the left is an enemy and this rock in the right is an enemy. So I want to hit both of them, right? Hit both of them, just like that, right? It's really strange and it's hard to picture, but once you play with him a little bit, you're going to pick up on it. But it's not something that you can see because you don't see where you tap, so you have to sort of almost remember where you tapped and then work around that point to make it the second shot fire in the direction that you want. Now the first shot is obviously just going to fire in whatever direction away from Samuel that you tapped, but the second shot, because you can change Samuel's location, is going to fire in a different direction. So, you know, if you're trying to change direction between the shots really quickly, then you're going to want to tap really close to Samuel. So I can tap in front of him, and I can move over and tap behind him, and he's going to fire in two different directions. But if you don't want to change the direction of the shots all that much, but you still want to fire at the same thing, like if I want to fire at this rock the entire time, I can tap on the rock, and the rock doesn't move, but I move because I tapped on it. I'm still going to hit it every time. So I know this is really hard to explain, especially when you can't see the taps, but it's something that is really important to Samuel's playstyle because it allows him to, with his single ability, hit two things in completely different directions. So, you know, if you're really good Samuel and you want to hit both of these rocks over here, you know, you can stand back here, hit both of them just like that. Isn't that cool? It's really hard to explain, but you guys will pick up on it eventually, and I figured I would just share it with you guys now so that you're ready for when the hero actually comes out. Now the second thing is how is B and A interact. So obviously this is the normal range, that's the normal stuff, right? But when you have your B down, it actually has a longer range, and it doesn't just have a longer range, it does a lot of other stuff too. So, if we drop this, hits those things, and you see that circle, that's actually AoE damage, which it normally doesn't have. You see, it's just a little bolt like right now. We can show it hitting a minion here. See, it doesn't have AoE damage when it's not empowered. It also does extra damage and has a shorter cooldown and stuff, but basically, you want to use your B and A together, and I think a lot of people were getting confused, like they didn't really work together. There was a lot of different just misconceptions about how Samuel works. So I hope this sort of cleared up how his A and B work together, but more importantly, how his A works as far as the geometry of it works. It's almost like a lever. If you really just distill that down to the core of what a lever is, which is a line with a point in the middle, a pivot point, and as one side moves down, the other side moves up, and if you were to lay that on its side, it's the same thing, and if the point's farther away, you get a lesser change. I know that that's kind of abstract, but once you get to play it for a little bit, you figure it out, and I just figured I would share that with you guys before he comes out so that you don't have to go through that process of playing like 20 games before you're like, oh yeah, that's kind of how that works, isn't it? So hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Again, sort of a strange one. You can't see the taps, so it's really hard to tell, but I'll try and put some sort of infographic and, make it clear to you guys in the post-editing. So yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. Thumbs if you liked it, subs if you loved it, and I'll talk to you guys in the next video. See ya!